Well, good morning, and welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim. Today we continue our journey with Christian and Hopeful in Chapter 11, Part 10, and Part 11, Remembering the Key of Promise. Now when night had come, and when Giant Despair and his wife Distrust had gone to bed, they began to renew their discussion of the prisoners. The old giant wondered why he couldn't bring the Pilgrims to an end, either by his blows or his counsel. His wife said, "I fear that they live in hopes that someone will come to set them free. Or maybe they hope to find a way to pick the lock and escape." "Since you mention it, my dear, I will go down and search them in the morning," said Giant. But it so happened that on Saturday at about midnight the Pilgrims began to pray and continued in prayer until almost daybreak. Then Christian, a short time before daylight, became astounded and passionately exclaimed, "What a fool I am! Here I lie in a stinking dungeon when I could be walking in complete liberty. I have a key in my pocket called Promise that I'm sure will open any lock in Doubting Castle." "That's great news, my brother," replied Hopeful. "Get it out right now and try it." Chapter 11, Part 11, Escape from Doubting Castle. So Christian pulled it out and went to the prison door. He put the key in the lock and turned it, and the door flew open easily. Christian and Hopeful both stumbled out. Next they went to the outer door that leads into the castle yard, and Christian used his key to open that door also. Finally they went to the iron gate and put the key in that lock, and although it was extremely stubborn, it too opened. As they thrust open the gate, it made such a loud noise that it awakened Giant Despair, who hastily arose to pursue his prisoners. He was struck by one of his seizures, however, and his limbs failed so that there was no way he could go after them. Then they went on until they got to the King's Highway, and so being out of Giant's jurisdiction, they were safe once again. Now after they had gone back over the steps that they had originally come in on, they began to plan what they should do to prevent those who would come after them from falling into the hands of Giant Despair. So they agreed to build a monument and engrave this sentence upon it: "Take these steps over the wall, and you will be on your way to Doubting Castle, which is kept by Giant Despair, who despises the king of the celestial country and seeks to destroy holy pilgrims." Many, therefore, following after, read what had been written and escaped the danger. This done, Christian and Hopeful sang the following: "Out of the way we went, and then we found what it was to tread upon forbidden ground. So let them that come after please take care, lest heedlessness makes them, as we, to fare, lest they for trespassing his prisoners are, whose castle Doubting, and whose name's Despair." Chapter 12, Part 1. The Delectable Mountains. Christian and Hopeful went on their way until they came to the Delectable Mountains, which belong to the Lord of the Hill. So they went up to the mountains to look at the gardens, and the orchards, and the vineyards, and the fountains of water. They drank of the water and washed themselves in it, and they freely ate from the vineyards. Upon the mountain tops close to the highway there were shepherds feeding their flocks. The mountains delectable they now ascend, where shepherds are, which to them do commend allurements and cautions, learn to keep clear. Pilgrims are kept steady by faith and by fear. The Pilgrims approached the shepherds and asked, "Whose delectable mountains are these, and whose sheep are you feeding?" They replied, "These mountains are Emmanuel's land, and they are within sight of his city. The sheep also are his, and he laid down his life for them." "Is this the way to the celestial city?" asked Christian. "Yes, you are right on the way." "How far is it from here?" "Indeed, too far for any but those who will get there." "Is the way safe, or is it dangerous?" "It is safe for those for whom it is to be safe, but sinners trying it will fail." "Is there anywhere for weak and weary pilgrims to find rest and renewal?" "The Lord of these mountains has given us charge that we not forget to entertain strangers. Therefore every good thing of this place is set before you." I also saw in my dream that when the shepherds realized that the men were travelers, they questioned the pilgrims about where they were from, how they had gotten into the way, and how they had been able to persevere thus far. for only a few who begin on the way are ever seen in these mountains." When the shepherds heard their answers, they were very pleased, and they looked upon the pilgrims with love and favor, saying, "Welcome to the Delectable Mountains." The shepherds, whose names were Knowledge, Experience, Watchful, and Sincere, took them by the hand and led them to their tents, and served them a meal. Then they said, "We would like you to stay here for a while, that we might get better acquainted, and also allow you to gain more solace here on these delectable mountains." So the pilgrims agreed to stay, and they went to bed, because by this time it was quite late. Well, that finishes our reading for today. Next week we'll pick up with chapter 12, part 2, The Mountain Called Error. So until then, take care, stay safe, and God bless.